evening to you, and thanks so much for joining us tonight. A pretty nice day across northern Michigan. Some of us seeing some temperatures in the 70s. A few lucky folks saw some sunshine, but a lot of clouds for most of us. But hey, at least it was dry for now. Joe, when's our next chance for some rain?
Well, let's put it this way. There's not a lot of rain coming in, but if we do, it'll probably be a little later tomorrow into early Thursday. But at best, I think some showers coming in. So we're not looking at a whole lot of rain. And then, you like nice weekends?
I love nice weekends.
I don't have to ask that. Yeah. Yeah, we have a nice one coming up, a little sun. And then next week, I won't give the whole forecast away, but we have a pretty big warm up. And I think maybe the warmest temperatures we've had so far on a kind of widespread scale. So might feel like a little like summer about a week from now. We'll talk about all that a little later.
All right. Thanks so much, Joe. Our top story tonight, chances are wherever you're watching this around northern Michigan, your community could probably use some truly affordable housing. Now, we know this is a crisis that's going to take multiple things to address. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some effort. And of course, it's going to take some money. Housing North out of Traverse City is an organization that it has the patience. It's willing to do the work, but it is asking for a little bit of money to get the job done. Our Mark Schlett has the details.
It's time that we step up and talk more about northern Michigan, what it needs.
State Representative John Roth knows how to talk down here to be heard and also knows what's needed up here.
We need that housing element up here. Can't get teachers, can't get first responders, police, you name it, without getting some housing.
Truly affordable housing is something that's awfully hard to find anywhere up here.
You don't want anybody paying more than 30% of their income on housing.
But at Housing North, they know all too well that too many people are paying a lot more of their income to cover their housing costs. Steps have been taken, new housing projects, new programs.
We have seen a lot more progress, but there's still a lot that needs to be made.
So to make more progress, they're ramping up their Rapid Response Housing Fund.
The purpose is to help fill gaps in much needed housing projects by providing a low interest revolving loan opportunity to key developers, both for-profit and nonprofit developers.
The loan program was launched in 2023. It's already helped developers with lower interest construction loans to buy land or as gap funding on affordable housing. They're loans, so the money coming back to Housing North. They have about $300,000 in the revolving door fund and have seen the difference that amount can make.
Obviously, the $300,000 is not going to have an impact on our 10 counties. We want to be able to at least have $1 million per county to be able to work with and deploy funds.
10 counties, so they're looking for $10 million they can loan to fund the type of housing northern Michigan truly needs now.
Right now, we're asking the state to incubate this fund, get it going.
And that's where Representative Roth and his willingness to make sure northern Michigan isn't ignored comes back in.
We give away grants all over the state of Michigan, a lot of them downstate. The last budget in particular, northern Michigan saw less than 10% of the budget go north.
So he sponsored a funding request in the next state budget for a one-time $10 million payment to Housing North's housing fund to be used as loans. The money goes out and comes back in with interest to be used again for the next project.
The idea is hopefully it will be going in perpetuity. So as projects, are funded, that money will start to come back, over time.
The request has been made here. The fight over its future and the state's overall budget lies ahead. But a growing coalition of our lawmakers say this addresses a need and is worth speaking up about.
They've got priorities that seem to align with downstate more than up north. So we're going to have to pull for northern Michigan pretty hard.
That was Mark Schlett reporting, and in his story, you heard from Housing North Executive Director Yarrow Brown, who is joining us live now here on Unscripted. Yarrow, thanks so much for being here tonight.
Thanks for having me.
So before we talk more about the funding request, in Mark's story, you talked about the progress that has been made across northern Michigan to bring more affordable housing to the area. You mentioned there is still more work to be done, of course, but can you go into a little more detail about that progress that has already been made?
Yeah, so we are tracking the numbers from a 2023 housing needs assessment that said we needed about 32,000 units in our 10 county region over the next 5 years. We estimate there's been around 4,000 or so of those built. Not all of those are affordable. A lot of those are market rate. And we estimate there's about maybe 2,500 in the pipeline that are working towards the finish line.
And it does seem like across northern Michigan, there are a lot of new housing projects that are popping up, but a lot of them are not affordable. And we've been talking about the need for affordable housing for so long. So why are these new developments, some of them, why are they not affordable?
Because making a project affordable to those so I should say that affordability means you're paying essentially not more than 30% of your income on rent. So it is a rent or a mortgage payment. So it is relative, but we have a lot of people in our region where the wages just are not matching what market rate rents are. And it does take a lot of creativity and support, zoning changes, some sort of subsidy or financial incentive to bring those projects down to an affordable rate, especially given construction costs right now.
So if this funding request does get approved through the state budget, what would that look like in these 10 counties? How would that money be used? How many units would it create? Give me some more details on that.
So that kind of depends on the project and the scope of each of those projects, but we hope we can deploy a project at least in each of the 10 counties. We're monitoring and tracking the need in each of those counties. And it could range from, a duplex or a triplex or even a quadplex to a multifamily project or even, a smaller scale development. So really it is going to depend on that community's needs. And we have a pre-application process and a fund committee that would vet those projects and then bring them to our full board for approval.
And are you confident that this request will get approved?
I like to be optimistic and hopeful, but I really can't say for sure, but we do have a lot of supporters. I think the last time I looked, we had about 90 people, close to 100 people signed on to a support letter. And we do feel like the Northern Michigan Caucus is behind this effort.
And so if anyone watching right now does want to add their names to that support letter, how can they do that?
There is a link on our website, and they can certainly email me directly, but they basically, just need to sign on to that link. They can review the letter. They can also reach out, to any of their legislators directly and just let them know that this is an initiative that they support.
And as far as a timeline goes, do we have any idea of when you could hear back on the request?
When the budget is officially approved, I imagine I will find out.
All right. And are you kind of planning for, like you said, you want to be optimistic, but let's say this request does not get approved. Are you planning for maybe other options of how you can try to still bring more affordable housing to the area without that additional $10 million?
Yes, certainly. And we are fundraising and will continue to fundraise to grow a revolving loan fund. But this would really help launch that and give us a huge amount of momentum in our 10-county region.
Absolutely. Anything else you want to mention about this, Yarrow?
Just that we know this is something that our developers and our nonprofit and for-profit developers really need, any sort of low-cost revolving loan interest or funds that can help move these projects forward and help incubate future projects. And of course, reach out anytime if there are questions or you want to learn more. You can go to housingnorth.org.
And I do believe we have more information on our website, UpNorthLive.com, that will connect you with all these different resources with Housing North as well. So, Yarrow, thank you so much for joining us tonight on Unscripted. I'm sure we'll be hearing from you again once we do know more about this funding request, once the budget does get approved. So we will keep all of you viewers updated as well once we do learn more about that. But some different things that Yarrow mentioned there is actually some different keys in this next story. So, as the cost of pretty much everything is increasing across Michigan and across the entire country, more and more Michiganders are struggling just to afford the basics. And Yarrow mentioned that affordable housing would be if someone is spending less than 30% of their income on rent or a mortgage. But what a new report reveals is most people are spending a lot more than 30, in some cases, even 50% of their income just to be able to pay their rent. So there are more and more people across the area who are struggling just to afford the basic needs. And as that number grows, so does a number of families who are speaking out and sharing their stories about how tough it is just to get by right now.
Over here is where they serve the meal. And
at the Salvation Army in Traverse City, a meal is more than food. It can be a lifeline.
They have community meals Monday and Wednesday. And during the meals, there's also a pantry that we can walk through. Fresh fruits and veggies and get some food if need be.
This is Nicole Wares, a single mom living in Traverse City.
Work at Dunham's. Been there almost 8 years now.
Despite her best efforts,
I'm on disability. I would like to work more, but I physically can't
The bills keep piling up.
Money's tight everywhere. Cost of living's gone up and income doesn't really go up much.
And Nicole's story is becoming all too common.
There are people who used to be able to get by on their income, take care of their family on their income, no longer can.
Every week, nearly 1,000 people walk through these doors, searching for help just to make ends meet.
So the number's growing. It's definitely growing.
According to a report by United Way, 1.6 million households, 41% of the state, are struggling to afford the basics.
So we can see that there's a trend of more and more households slipping below that ability to meet their basic needs.
These households are known as ALICE, asset limited, income constrained, and employed.
These people are the folks who are living often above the federal poverty line, but not making enough to pay their bills.
They're working.
The service workers, the retail workers, delivery drivers.
They're trying.
These are households that are contributing to society.
But they're still falling short.
They're still struggling day after day to pay their bills.
And the number of households below the ALICE threshold is growing.
Since 2010, the percent of those households has increased 18% in the ALICE population.
While wages have slightly increased, the cost of everything else, food, gas, rent, has increased as well.
About 69% of the ALICE population is paying more than 30%, often 50% of their income toward housing.
Right now, I'm seeing lots of people who have bills of $1,500, $2,000 and more for their utilities that they can't pay at this time.
And when more people are falling behind, it doesn't just impact them.
It has a huge ripple effect.
It impacts the entire community.
They don't have a lot of money that they can put into the local economies.
And it puts a strain on the resources available to help others.
If all the donations are down, again, it's tougher on everybody, even the people who try to be generous.
But it's kind of turned into this cycle of lower funds coming in the door that we can then send out to help those community members. And there are more community members in need of help.
Take one item per group just because of how many people come through here.
Community members like Nicole, who rely on these resources.
It's very important to have, I feel, to have someone that you can turn to and ask for help. And definitely got that here.
Although donations are down, Patty is confident the Salvation Army can keep up with the need and continue to provide hope.
Whether it's money or clothes or food or just a shoulder, that's the bottom line, is to make somebody leave feeling like their load's a little bit lighter.
I wish I would have came in sooner. I definitely wish I would have asked for help sooner.
And the main message from everyone who I talked to in that story is that if you are struggling to make ends meet, ask for help. That's the reason why different organizations like the United Way and the Salvation Army exist. It's to bring resources and people together to address these issues. Now, if you do want help, but you don't know where to start, you can always call 211 or go to 211.org. We have all this information on our website as well, UpNorthLive.com, as well as a link to the entire ALICE report. There's a lot of very interesting stats in there that I didn't get to mention. And our question of the day is related to another stat from that report. It says the number of ALICE households reporting having a rainy day savings fund has decreased from 35% to 31%. So we asked you today, do you have a rainy day fund? Scan the QR code on your screen right now. That will take you over to our website where you can vote. Looking at the results right now, actually 68% of people are saying yes, they do. Only 32% as of right now are saying no, they do not. So I'll continue to keep an eye on those results and also look at our comments over on our Facebook page and share those updated results with you toward the end of the show. But right now, we are going to take our first commercial break. As always, coming up next, Joe will have much more on your forecast for the rest of the week. Stay with us.
I'm Jada Johnson from Big Boys TV, and the Fish and Game Report is sponsored by Johnson's Propane.
It's been a nice day across northern Michigan. Finally, we're seeing some temperatures that are closer to average, what they should be this time of year. But I'm sure some folks are ready for some even warmer temperatures. So, Joe, any drastic warm up in the near future?
Just hang on until next week.
Okay.
It looks like, nothing bad coming in. It was, last week was chilly though.
Yeah.
I had so many people telling me, like, when are we going to warm up? And we finally got into the 70s yesterday and today, which was nice. We had a lot of cloud cover too earlier in the day in some spots, but this is right now outside of our studios in Traverse City. We're at 68. But some clouds earlier have kind of thinned out a little bit. That's Grand Traverse Bay out there. Heck, nice Tuesday evening here with sunset now past 9 o'clock. So we still got a couple more hours until that happens. Here's what it looked like from space today. There's northern Michigan. And again, we had a little bit of thicker cloud cover in spots earlier. It's kind of thinned out a little bit. There's no real rain anywhere nearby. Some showers way out there toward western Wisconsin and into the Minneapolis area. But what we're looking at is high pressure to our north, keeping it pretty dry, pretty quiet. Way down in Kentucky, it's kind of off the bottom of this map, is an area of low pressure. It's going to kind of slowly move north. It's not going to head right toward us, but it will gradually bring in a little bit of moisture and perhaps a couple of showers. So tonight, mostly cloudy. There's tomorrow. You see the clock up there. You might see a shower tomorrow. Very small chance. I really don't think much. Better chances lie south of M55. Tomorrow evening, there's a little bit of rain. You can kind of see, parts of Wisconsin and then also in Ontario, showers. A little bit of this might sweep in Thursday morning. So you might wake up Thursday morning. Let's say, let's pick out East Jordan, for instance. Maybe a shower, but it won't last very long, and any rain won't be very heavy before that kind of tapers off Thursday evening, Thursday night. And then Friday, I didn't show you here on Friday, but Friday, separately, a partly cloudy sky, but there's a front coming right out of the north. So there might be a shower or two along with that. A lot of zeros on this. This is the rainfall forecast. So yeah, we're talking about rain, but there's not going to be a lot of it. Just a few showers looking ahead here. So our outdoor outlook, we'll go green. No real major problems. Doesn't mean you might not get a shower or two, especially Wednesday night, Thursday morning, even Friday, but not a big deal. Now look at the weekend. It's not going to be overly warm. 60s Saturday, Sunday, 60s too, but both days will be dry as we look ahead here, a couple days away. Saturday, Sunday with lots of sunshine out there. And next week, we're talking about this warm-up. So you see Traverse City labeled on there, northern Michigan. We're going to cool down a little bit right there. That's the 60s for the weekend. Then watch what happens to that cooler air. Goodbye. We start warming up, and we're looking at probably some 80s as we head into next week. So big picture, Maya, pretty quiet forecast, maybe a shower or two, and a nice weekend coming up, highs in the 60s.
Lovely. Thanks so much, Joe. Stick around. We will be right back with your latest sports report from Harrison Beebe. Well, the Tigers are underway right now, and the Pit Spitters played earlier today. So for more on that, let's turn things over to sports director Harrison Beebe.
It's a busy Tuesday for sports coming off the Memorial Day weekend as girls soccer districts really get going. We've reached district semifinals with district champions to be crowned later in the week. Tonight we'll have a triple header of highlights coming your way. Traverse City West is taking on Midland Dow in a Division I district semifinal. And up in Sutton's Bay, there's a doubleheader. The Lady Norse at home taking on Leland in a Northwest Conference rematch in their Division IV district semifinal, while the other half of that bracket pairs two strong teams with a lot of history on the girls' soccer pitch, Elk Rapids and Harbor Springs. Exciting to see who comes out winners in all three of those matchups. We'll highlight those games during sports at 11. But there's an entire wave of district semifinal games coming up tonight, including Traverse City Central and Midland meeting in the other half of that Division I district. That game down in Midland. In Division II, Alpena and Petoskey crossing paths as a rematch of Big North Conference teams. Also in D2, Ludington taking on Mount Pleasant. We move over to Division III, where Boyne City is taking on that team from the far western Upper Peninsula in Houghton, and another LP-UP matchup, Sheboygan and Kingsford squaring off in Division III, as are Manistee and Hart, and Traverse City St. Francis hosting Reed City this afternoon. And rounding out some Division IV games going on today, we've got McBain NMC taking on Shelby and Roscommon going up against Pinconning. The Traverse City Pit Spitters are out to an 0-2 start to their Northwoods League season after dropping the season opener in Rockford last night 2-1. Rockford had quite a bit of uptick in offensive firepower, but the Pit Spitters not much more. 10-3 the final as the Rivets take the two-game series against the TC Pit Spitters down in Illinois. Traverse City's got two more road games to go before they come back on Friday for their home opener at Turtle Creek Stadium. And more baseball to focus on the Tigers back at home. Their lone night game of the three-game series with the San Francisco Giants taking place tonight. 6:40 first pitch, the Tigers and Giants meeting up. We'll get those Tiger highlights along with the girls district soccer results tonight during sports at 11. But that is going to do it for sports for now. I'm Harrison Beebe.
Looking forward to those highlights tonight at 11. Harrison, thank you so much for that. Let's take a last commercial break, and we'll be back with the question of the day and the live results next.
Salon services are furnished by Epiphany Advanced Academy in East Acme.
Our question of the day today is, do you have a rainy day fund? As you can see, it's kind of surprising results. 69% of folks voted yes, 31% voted no. Now, this was our question of the day today because earlier we shared with you some stats from a report by the United Way that talks about those folks who earn above the federal poverty line, but not enough to cover the basics. And about 1 in 4 Michiganders fall into that category. And most of them, they can't afford any sort of savings. They don't have a rainy day fund because they're just trying to make ends meet. If you would like to join the conversation on this question, you can head over to our Facebook page, UpNorthLive. We are all out of time tonight on Unscripted. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope to see you back here at 11 o'clock tonight.